Okay, hi everyone. I'm head coach Stephanie White. Brendan and Adona, if you want to start, and then we can get to everyone else.
Hi, Coach. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Can you just talk about your 7-0 start and what that mindset is like having this target on your back now?
I don't think we look at it as anything other than we're just preparing for our next game. This is a team and a veteran group that understands it's a long season, that are incredibly competitive, that take it one game at a time, one possession at a time. And so, we don't really think of it as being 7-0 necessarily. It's just, okay, well, we've got to prepare for this next game. We've been able to win some close games. We're nowhere near where we need to be in terms of how we're playing on either end of the floor. And so we just focus on the next task at hand. This is a very, very in the present task motivated group.
Steph, I know you said in the post game the other night about trying to figure out the first quarter stuff and the starts. Like, what are the conversations about that? Can you point exactly what it might be?
No, I mean, I wish I could. I think the conversations are just about what do we have to do from a preparation standpoint to make sure that we're ready to go from the jump. Is it anything that individually for our players that they're doing that's to prepare for and get ready for opening tip? Is it the way that we prepare or practice from a coaching standpoint? I mean, we notice it sometimes in practices. We haven't had much of a chance to practice recently, but is it our lineups? Is it what we're trying to how we're trying to defend, what we're trying to run offensively? What is it? And we can't quite put our finger on it yet. I think each person that steps into the locker room has to take some ownership of that, and we've got to really do a better job of making sure that we're prepared and ready to go.
And what stands out to you the most for Atlanta?
They've got so many weapons, their size, their speed, their athleticism, their shot making ability at multiple positions. I mean, when you look at Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray to start, I mean, they're two of the best wings in this league. And they can make you pay in a number of ways, and then certainly the way that Cheyenne Parker has played and Tina Charles, has emerged. They're just a really tough team to handle. And, they move around a lot. They give you a lot of different looks on the offensive end of the floor. So for us, we've got to be disciplined to our details defensively. We've got to make sure that we communicate early and often, and that we make every shot as difficult as possible.
You're good?
Thank you.
We're good. Thanks, Coach.
James, go ahead.
Hi, Stephanie. You mentioned there about the Atlanta Dream, and obviously they came off a fantastic win against Las Vegas Aces, and obviously a star-studded team in the Aces. Was there anything in particular that you saw that maybe that you might hone in on there tonight in terms of that victory, that maybe that the Dream did very well against the Aces that you need to counteract?
Well, I think first and foremost, they're just continuing to become a better team executing on the offensive end of the floor. They're really hard to guard because they run a lot of different actions. They're balanced in terms of who's taking shots. They're balanced in terms of getting scoring from multiple players. They get to the free throw line a lot, so they really put pressure on your defense to be disciplined. It seems like it's a natural progression for this group. They're young on the perimeter. And every game they get more confident. Every year they get more confident. Every year they add to their skill set. They're incredibly well coached. So for us, we've got to try to slow them down in transition. We got to make sure we're not giving up easy buckets in transition. We've got to force them to get deep into the shot clock and knock down contested shots. And then offensively, we got to make them work. It's not good enough for us to just play one side of the floor and take quick shots and let them off the hook. We got to really make them work, try to break it down, and not necessarily get the first good shot we have, but get the best shot on the floor.
And final one for me, Stephanie. In terms of the 8-0 start, I suppose consistency has been the key for Connecticut. And you put it down really to the consistency over the 4 quarters. You seem to be the team that are producing in each quarter. There seems to be a consistency level, while some teams' performances might dip maybe in a second or third quarter. There seems to be a consistency right through the quarters so far with the Connecticut Suns.
Yeah, I think that just speaks to the veteran group that we have. We've got 3 players in our starting lineup who have been to multiple finals, who understand what it takes. We've got 2 other players in our starting lineup who have gone through the progression of what it means to be a role player and step into the starting lineup. On our bench, we have a lot of veterans. I think it's just we got a veteran group who understand sense of urgency and understand, what it takes to be successful. Certainly it is a game of runs. And because we have that experience, it's allowed us to grind things out and to play some of our best basketball in that clutch time.
Thank you. Noah, go ahead.
Hi, you mentioned last game that even though you guys are 7-0, sometimes it feels like you're 0-7 in the locker room after games. Is the area where you see kind of the most room for improvement on either end of the floor, or is it just kind of across the board, just better attention to detail and things like that?
I think across the board, certainly, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but it seems like in our slow starts, we're giving up high field goal percentages to our opponents in the first quarter. So our attention to detail on the defensive end, we haven't shot the ball particularly well. I think that the law of averages is going to eventually work in our favor, but we have not shot the ball well. So that puts a lot of pressure on our defense to be perfect. We've had some breakdowns, at times, which every team will, because good offensive teams will force you into that. I think for us, we've got to make sure to tighten up our starts. And we've got to make sure to find ways to get the best shot on the floor and step up and knock it down with confidence.
Thanks.
Anyone in the room?
Yes, just had a question. Talk about the law of averages. When you think about what Atlanta can do in this particular season, they have a revamped roster. The depth on the inside, but also their guards on the perimeter. What's the priority for you defensively in countering what they can do?
The biggest thing is transition defense. Keeping them out of transition. That's our good offensive execution will be our best transition defense. But also, we can't get lost in transition. We've got to make sure that we're communicating our matchups. It's not your man, it's near man in transition. We got to flood the ball side, which is something for some reason we haven't been doing a great job of. And then we have to play tendencies. We've got to know who are shooters, who we want to put the ball on the floor, which direction we want them to put the ball on the floor, and the things that we're willing to live with.
And then just overall for Ryan Howard, a player that is in a bit of a dip right now, but in the way of how you defend her and throwing her off, she's grown so much in her 3 level of scoring. What's high importance to you?
Just keeping her off balance, giving her different looks, trying to make every shot difficult. Now, she's a player who can really make difficult shots, and those are the ones we got to live with. I mean, she's a tough cover because of, her versatility in terms of how she can score, her size, her ability to handle the ball. I mean, she's got the size of a 4, but the skill set of a point guard. She can knock it down too. So we've got to try to give her different looks, try to keep her off balance, and then we just have to make her hit tough shots.
And then my last question, just looking at your 7-0 start and then from last year, 4-1 start, what's the difference in how your team has been able to, step to the floor and understand the assignment for each night? You talked about the level of maturity of the group. What's different in this season?
I think there's just a sense of urgency. Okay. We know that the window is closing, on this group and the opportunity for us to compete for a championship. But I also think it's a different group. We've got everybody's another year into the system. The schedule's been favorable for us too. We haven't had a ton of games in a short period of time. We're playing, different types of teams right now. But I also think that everybody understands, that this is our chance, and are approaching it like that. Now we can't force that, or allow that to make us too tight, which at times I feel like we are, especially offensively. It's like we're just aiming our shots instead of just taking shots with confidence. So, I think there's a fine balance of understanding the sense of urgency, understanding the opportunity in front of us, but not letting it consume us to where we're hesitating or second guessing what we do.
I just have one for you. Just the importance of Breezy with Cheyenne Parker Tyus and Tina Charles down low.
I mean, first of all, I think I forgot just how important it is having Breezy on the floor because, we lost her so early last year and she just is, she's like a catch-all for us on defense. She's always in the right spot. You trust her. You trust her judgment. She communicates at a high level. She's elite in her understanding of the game. And she has the physicality, and has the physicality to match up with bigs like Parker and Tina Charles inside. So that's the first thing. Secondly, is same thing offensively. I mean, just her ability to make tough shots, to be a presence for us on the interior, to be a great screener, to space the floor and knock down. We don't have really have a post player that can knock down that 15, 17, 19-foot jump shot consistently, and she can. You know, we're encouraging her to shoot it from the 3-point line a little bit more as well. But she's a glue piece and a connector. She doesn't have to say a thing, but you can just sense that with our team on both ends of the floor.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Good to see you.
Thanks, guys.